Good morning, Colonel. The judge's voice echoed through the courtroom, and the entire room fell silent. The clerk stopped writing. The lawyers looked up. My daughter, Anna, froze beside me. Across the aisle, my mother-in-law, Vivian Hart, lost every bit of colour in her face. Just seconds earlier, she'd been smiling as though she'd already won. I simply folded my hands and nodded. 3 months before that day, I had been standing in my kitchen in Norfolk, stirring a pot of chicken soup when the mail arrived. Among the bills and advertisements was a certified letter. I knew who it was from before I opened it. Since my husband Daniel died, his family had treated every conversation like a courtroom argument disguised as concern. Vivian criticised the flowers at his funeral. She complained that I'd sold Daniel's fishing boat too quickly. She said I was making emotional decisions because I couldn't think clearly. The letter was a legal petition. She was contesting Daniel's will. According to her, I'd manipulated him into leaving me our lake house. That cabin on Smith Mountain Lake wasn't just property, it was our sanctuary. For more than 30 years, Daniel and I escaped there whenever life became too loud. During his cancer treatments, it became the only place where he truly felt at peace. He would sit wrapped in a navy blanket at the end of the dock while I read beside him. Sometimes we didn't say a single word. We didn't need to. I sat at the kitchen table staring at the paperwork when Anna walked in. She looked at the documents and sighed. "Mum, just settle." I looked up. "Grandma has money," she said. "She has lawyers." I reached for her hand. "So did your father." She frowned. "I am Daniel's family." Anna squeezed my shoulder, but didn't argue. There was something she didn't know, something very few people knew. Daniel and I had agreed years earlier to keep my military career private after I retired. I'd spent enough of my life introducing myself by rank. I wanted to be known simply as his wife. A week later, Vivian invited the entire family to Sunday dinner. Her riverfront home looked like something from a magazine. Crystal chandeliers, perfect silverware, fresh flowers on every table. She sat at the head of the dining room like royalty. Her younger son, Marcus, barely looked at me. Halfway through dinner, Vivian folded her napkin. "Legal matters can become very expensive," she said. "I'm managing." "You should have accepted our offer," Marcus muttered. I looked at him. Daniel made his wishes clear. Vivian smiled politely. "That's what your lawyers claim." "My lawyers?" "I assumed you had some." "I don't." Her smile widened. "You always thought you were smarter than everyone else, Margaret." She leaned forward. "But in the end you were only a wife." The room went quiet. I carefully placed my fork on the plate. "I'll see you in court." She laughed. "You're finished." That night I opened an old leather case in the back of my closet. Inside were papers I hadn't touched in years. Military records, awards, official documents. At the bottom rested a pair of silver eagle insignia. I picked one up and held it in my hand. For the first time since Daniel died, I remembered exactly who I was. The morning of the hearing, I dressed simply. Grey slacks, a navy blouse, my silver hair pulled neatly back. Anna met me outside the courthouse carrying coffee. She looked nervous. "Mum," she said, "you can still settle." I smiled. "Your father hated bullies." Inside, Vivian stood near the entrance wearing an expensive cream suit and a string of pearls. 3 attorneys surrounded her. When she spotted me, she smiled. Margaret actually came. One of the lawyers glanced around. He seemed confused. There was no legal team beside me. I walked into the courtroom alone. At exactly 9 o'clock, Judge Mallory entered. Everyone stood. He looked directly at me. "Good morning, Colonel." The silence that followed was unforgettable. Vivian's smile disappeared. One attorney nearly dropped his files. Judge Mallory adjusted his glasses. For the record, retired Colonel Evelyn Shaw served in the Judge Advocate General's Corps for more than 20 years. Vivian's lead attorney cleared his throat. "We weren't aware of that." The judge nodded. That would be an understatement. The hearing began. Vivian's lawyers argued that I had isolated Daniel during his illness, that I'd influenced his decisions, that I'd pressured him to leave me the lake house. When it was my turn, I stood calmly. I asked simple questions. "Did you interview the hospice nurses?" "No." "Did you examine visitation records?" "No." "Did you speak with Daniel's oncologist?" "No." I nodded. Then I presented my first exhibit, a handwritten letter Daniel had signed 8 months before his death. In it, he clearly stated that the lake house belonged to me. He